Hello and welcome to Unacademy, the one-stop solution for an English medium UPSC Civil Services aspirant. Today I welcome you all to a special session, and the special session is a marathon session. So today the agenda is that we'll be covering 50 questions which will not just be pertaining to art and culture but also ancient, we'll take medieval, we'll also take modern India, and we'll sprinkle a little bit of art and culture, and in between when we are discussing art and culture there is also current affairs references. So therefore today it's going to be a long session. Good evening to all of you. I hope all of you are comfortable because we will go on at least for 3 hours from now because we have to cover 50 questions. Now the protocol remains the same, which is that you have to cover the question through the what we call as poll itself, and remember, don't write the answer before the poll is complete. That may ruin it for everyone else, but I encourage you all to interact with the poll and also engage with me through questions. So before we begin, there are 3 very basic announcements for you. One, a very important one, which is called Unacademy All India Prelims Mock Test 2024. The first one happened today. Maybe you were a part of it. If you were not a part of it, on 26th May, there will be a proper mock test the way it happens for the prelims examination itself, and you can register for this for free in the link which is given in the description box. One more very important thing, a lot of you were commenting that, for example, you were not able to find the PDFs. So we have made sure that the PDFs will now be uploaded to the Telegram channel. The link to the Telegram channel is also in the description box. If you're not able to find it, just write Unacademy IAS English, you'll find it. And the past 3 sessions have now been uploaded into the Telegram channel. This session also will be uploaded into the Telegram channel. The PDF for this will be uploaded there. Over and above that, there were certain doubts with regards to how to find it. Now that issue should be sorted. Most of it, yes, the annotated one is already there. You can see IR, and the first and the second session of art and culture is already there. So the first thing was you can also practice a mock. Thereafter, as always, we have started the Triumph batch on 7th May, and on 16th May I'll be taking modern India and post independence. So make sure, we are already having the orientations for the subjects. Make sure that you become a part of our course now, and also make sure that you are basically attending all the orientations from time to time. Last but not the least, as I always have said in the past 2 sessions, if you are looking for any form of guidance for history optional, in June I will be launching a course which will be a 360-hour program, a 5-month program in which we will cover the whole of history optional with 165 hours for paper 1, 165 hours for paper 2, and 30 hours for mapping itself. You can use the code AMOPT to get this course. In that regard, you will get a certain discount on the fees itself. And if you want to learn anything, if you want to interact, if you have a certain doubt with regards to optionals, you can always join the community which I have created specifically for history optional students or any doubts related to history. We are also having what we call as answer writing sessions in this. I have already pushed one question. Very soon as the art and culture part of Conquer Prelims is over, we will now more oftenly what we call as meet and discuss a lot of things there and make sure that your answer writing practice is done properly. So with this, we are done with the quota of announcements. First things first, please do remember 50 questions. The questions are pertaining to art and culture, ancient, medieval, modern, and it is basically in this same sequence. Certain current affairs based art and culture, then we will have ancient, medieval, modern mixed up in the second part. So can we start, everybody? Everybody is excited? Everybody is ready for this? Come on. And I hope that all of you are sorted with regards to the PDF that has already been shared with you in the Telegram channel. Find it in the description box. Yes, excited? Okay, let's start with the first question. Consider the following statements. West Bengal's State Day historically marks the struggle against the partition of Bengal. Both the national anthem and the state anthem of West Bengal, which is the national anthem and the state anthem of West Bengal, have been composed by Rabindranath Tagore. Which of the statement is correct? Now it should be in front of you, the poll. We will keep it 10 seconds, we will engage, and then we will move forward. I will also try to give you certain context for why I have asked this question to you. Okay, come on. we have A, none, C, both. No poll. Poll should be now in front of you. Mitali, lock C. Mitali says B. Vamsi saying C. So it's A, B, C mix, but C is actually winning. Okay. So we'll give it another 5 seconds and we'll now end the poll. You have to be quick, 50 questions. So have to be quick in this. B, C, C, state song, new state song announced. Okay, we'll end the poll now. So 54% of you have gone ahead with C. So we have 53% here and A 22%, 18%. However, it is only the 18% who are correct here, which is the second statement is correct, which is national anthem and the state anthem, which is the song Banglar Mati Banglar Jal, which has recently been announced as the new what we call a state song, has been written by Rabindranath Tagore. But there is a lot of controversy with regards to the first statement. See, West Bengal's state day, there was a major proposal which went from the governor of West Bengal to say that 20th June should be made into the state day, and the state, the legislative, the assembly has now, the government has taken a decision not to go with this suggestion and rather choose 1st April, which is the Bengali New Year, also called as the Poila Baisakhi or Boishakh, as the state day itself. Now, what is the context of this 20th June? The context is that on 20th June 1947, please remember this is a very important point, 20th June 1947, there was a very important vote which happened in the Bengal Legislative Assembly before independence, and it was about the story of what should be the decision of Bengal. Should it become a part of India? Should it split up into East Bengal and West Bengal, or should it become independent? This was the question, that keep Bengal whole within India itself or become Bengal and West Bengal, and we have also the what we call a Sarad Bose formula also for this in that regard, and rather get divided into India and Pakistan. And the decision which was taken was, let us divide it into West Bengal and East Pakistan, or East Bengal, and therefore East Bengal went into Pakistan and became East Pakistan, and West Bengal became a part of India. This was a very historic day that way. So 20th June 1947 was considered important that way, and therefore the governor wanted this to be the state day. But the government argued that why should we remember the most painful day for Bengalis generally, where they split up, as the state day itself, and they went with Pois Baisakh rather than a state which a day which remembers the partition in that regard. The context for Banglar Mati Banglar Jal is also very important. It is a song which was sung during the Swadeshi movement 1905. This song was mostly used for using the Rakhi, and the Rakhi ceremony which was happening over this song itself. So therefore this is a very important question, a lot of controversy over the day itself, and over and above that, national state anthem, this is correct. So let's move to the next question. I am trying to give you as much context as possible so that you can learn from this session also. Okay, Tawi Festival is associated with which of the following? Nagaland, Manipur, Jammu and Kashmir, UT, or Himachal Pradesh? Come on. That Priya, yes, that this one, the mock test is free. You can become a part of it. You can dial 855 times, or you can just look for the link there. Come on. Nagaland, Manipur, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh. A straightforward question that was. Okay, we have B 34%, C 28%, 18%. A. We'll end the poll here. And the answer here is actually C, which is Jammu and Kashmir. And Tawi Festival is very, very important because of the fact that it celebrates the Jammu culture itself. Happened on 1st to 4th March 2024, and the concept of what we call as Jammu and the river Tawi itself, and the cultural legacy and the vibrancy of this sector is actually celebrated. A lot of Dogra culture is also exhibited here. Over and above that, this has been done with the Jammu Municipal Corporation, Tourism Department and other cultural institutions of this sector. So please do remember, it is named after the river itself, as a lot of you are pointing out, Jammu Tawi, the fact that there's a strain called that, it is a straightforward concept with regards to that. So again, this is a realistic question. In the exam situation becomes even more difficult, and 34% is not a very good percentage here. Okay. Question number 3. Consider the following statements. The Akademi Ratna or the Akademi Ratna are the highest honor given to eminent artists in the field of performative arts for his/her exceptional contribution to performing art form or performative art form. The number of such awardees is restricted to 40 at any given time. Tell me what is the answer. Come on. Okay. 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 or 2. I have very categorically not read the last line. Please do read it properly. It is asking incorrect, which is the incorrect statements. In both of these, are both of them incorrect? Are both of them correct? You have to decide. A lot of you are going with A, 33%, but I am not sure if you are going with A as a form of what we call as incorrect or correct itself. Okay, we will take it, give it another 5 seconds and then we will end. Okay, let us end it. And we have 30%, 26%, D is only 20%. See, here both the statements are correct. Therefore, neither of the statements are incorrect. Simply, the Sangeet Natak Academy gives the Akademi Ratna to performative art. Yes. Second, it is quoted straight away out of PIB and the website itself that when this list is generated, there cannot be more than 40 members or 40 artists who have been given this Ratna itself. So, at any given point of time means that any year it cannot be more than 40, and therefore, this both the statements are correct. Please, these are very standard questions and I hope that you will learn them. Didn't know about restriction to 40, this is the whole point itself. It has been restricted to 40 itself. Very important. Out of the Hindu newspaper itself, awards have become important. I hope you will make them a part of your preparation. Let us move to the 4th question now. Consider the following statements. The Bastille Day represents the moment when Napoleon became the Emperor of France after the French Revolution. Tirukkuṟaḻ is a compilation of couplets addressing ethics, politics, economic subjects and love. Okay, come on. Okay. Again, I hope that you are reading the whole question again, which is incorrect. The same thing I cannot pull off twice. I hope you would do it in the right sense. 1 is incorrect. A, C, no, misread this time. Napoleon came later. Yes, A is incorrect. Miss kar diya. Suyansh, twice back to back questions. Okay. So we'll give it another 5 seconds and then we'll stop. As of right now, A is dominating. Very good. Okay, let's end the poll. Absolutely new question. Well, that is the whole point of this session. 39% of you are totally correct that the only statement which is incorrect is this one. The second statement is it's a very standard text by now. The Tirukkuṟaḻ written by Tiruvallur or Tiruluvar. He wrote a text called the Tirukkuṟaḻ, and this is a text of ethics, has been quoted multiple times, and even the finance minister quotes it nowadays in the budget to tell you the basic ethics behind that chapter itself. It's a very important text of ethics, of love, talks about political and economic subjects and how you come out of a dilemma. So in the Union Budget, she actually quotes it quite a lot. This one is wrong, but the context for this is very, very important, because Bastille Day actually was in the news because the Prime Minister became a part of the Bastille Day itself. Napoleon becoming emperor is very late, that is 1806, very, very late, and by 1804 he became the consul for life itself. Bastille Day does not mark the 1806 or 1804 period, it rather marks the point where the National Assembly was being protected by the people by storming of the Bastille itself, the storming of the Bastille, and thereafter what we call as the development of the National Guard. The National Guard, when it is formed, it is called the Bastille Day, and it's 1789 and not 1804 or 1806. The simple point is that Bastille Day marks the moment when the tennis court oath is taken and the doors of the Treaty of Versailles or Versailles is closed, and they then go to the tennis court, take a oath that we will write a new constitution, which in turn leads to the concept of the Bastille storming, and thereafter the National Assembly becoming the Legislative Assembly, the first constitution of France itself. So therefore this first statement is incorrect, the second statement is totally correct. So I hope you like this question. I am trying to mix up a little bit of world history with art and culture, plus the concept of the statue of Tirukkuṟaḻ also being what we call as unveiled in France. All of this has been brought in together. Okay. Now for the students who are looking for GIs. Yesterday I got a lot of comments for GI tags, and therefore I was extremely what we call as excited to give you this question. So consider the following pairs. You have the Tangail Saree MP, the Kachchhi Kharek, which is the Maharashtra sector, Majuli masks, Assam. Which of them have been correctly matched? Come on. Come on, come on. B. How to remember GI tags? Remember only the ones which are in the news, and that to the latest ones. There is nobody who can learn the 432, now 400, close to 450 GI tags. Just remember the ones which are in the news itself. Okay. We'll give it another 10 seconds. The one which is actually dominating is B, which is 2 pairs. We'll end the poll here, and we have 48% B, 37% A. The students who are with A are actually correct. Here these two have been incorrectly matched. Majuli Mas is Assam, yes, totally right. Tangali Saree is not MP but West Bengal, and this is not Maharashtra but Gujarat. What I have done is I have compiled this list for you also, which is that, see, I am giving you this infographic which has all the major GIs of each and every state given in one place. Further, recently there were multiple GIs which were added. For example, from Odisha we had the Kapdanga shawl. Further, what is called as the Langia Sora painting itself. Further, we had the Kala Jeera rice, the Simlipal Kai chutney, the Brinjal, thereafter Odisha Guda and Magji. On the other hand, I have also given you from Andhra Pradesh the lace craft or the corset, but I have made, this is the context for the Majuli mask itself. Over and above that, I have given you this table. So you see Kachchhi Kharek and Tangali Saree, West Bengal, Saree here. So I have done this for you. When this PDF is uploaded into the Telegram channel, use this to learn it properly. I have tried to compile the latest ones for you here so that you can easily learn. Right? So question number 5 is actually a question which can come in the examination and could be a bouncer for you, but I hope that with this you will learn. My voice is fine, right? Some of you, only Sitadri is writing low audio. Everything else is fine, right? Issues with voice, only with someone else. Fine, okay. This is why I don't ask you, because then you will start to mix it up. Little gone down. Can we push the volume a little bit higher? Right? Okay. Now is it fine? Very low. All clear, sir. See, low it could be on your end. Now is it fine? Fine. Okay. Just put your volume higher. We've put it down so that you can manage it properly. So, okay, fine now. Okay. Let's move to the sixth question. Consider the following statements with regards to the UNESCO Asia Pacific Awards for Cultural Heritage Conservation. Sir, the GIs, yes, this is the latest one. You have, it recognizes efforts by both individuals and organizations in conserving structures, places and properties of heritage value. Commercial establishments are not eligible for nomination under this award. Which is correct? Come on. It is talking about UNESCO Asia Pacific Awards for Cultural Heritage Conservation. There was a context for this. There was a context for this. There was a news for this. So, I hope that you know that also. Okay, first statement is correct. We have A and C. So, 62% A, we have C. Okay, we can end the poll now. Most of you have been able to decode it, which is that here only the first statement is correct. Commercial establishments are eligible for this award. The context is more important for you because you should know that a 169-year-old what is called the Baikula railway station has recently got this award for its conservation practices, and therefore this generally is a very important station because the first line which was developed in 1853 between Bombay and Thane, this was one of a very important point at which these engines used to change. Over and above that, the first locomotive, the engine when it was brought in, it was brought in into Baikula itself. The name of that locomotive was Lord Falkland, named after the then governor itself, and there was a lot of investment which went into this railway station. Just to give you a glimpse of it, this is an old picture of the Baikula railway station, and the Baikula railway station is actually remembered not just for the railway station but for a very important temple which was there. It's called the Black Pagoda of the station, and when you go from Bombay to Thane in that old sector, now this has become a much minor railway station itself. This is a very important landmark which was used, and therefore this station has got the award for it itself, which is conservation. And when we talk about UNESCO Asia Pacific Awards for Cultural Heritage Conservation itself, it is a very important way of incentivizing, recognizing conservation practices, and therefore this is very, very important in that context. Since 2000, UNESCO is trying to recognize private, public, even PPP under private public partnership conservation practices itself. So, I hope that this is now at least etched in your mind, and in the examination if you get these things, you will be easily able to get it and get the 2 marks needed. PPTs for the last 4 lectures, Shivam, you have joined right now, have now been uploaded to the Telegram channel. Look for the Telegram channel link in the description box. Go on the Telegram channel, which is Unacademy IAS English. You will find 3 PPTs. Once this is over, you will find it again. So please, we have made sure that that is not a problem which is now going to persist for a long time. You will get it automatically. Join our community on Telegram. You will get it there itself. Okay. And I think others would be testament to the fact that we already, the CNA 5 questions go every day there. The PPT is already there itself. Okay. Let's move to the next question. A simple one again. The village Mudi Manikam, which was recently in the news, is located in which state? Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Maharashtra, Karnataka. I'll tell you the context. The name of the channel is Unacademy IAS English. Check it on Telegram or check the description box, it is given. Nisha, I hope you'll find it now. Okay. We have Karnataka D dominating. Ishika is saying Telangana. Lock B, lock A. Yes, sir. Okay. Perfect. So 35, 28, 32. We'll give it another 2 seconds and we'll end the poll now. Okay. So as of right now, what we have is 34, 30, 29. But what we are looking for is B. So 29% of you are correct. This very important village was in the news, specifically in Telangana, the Nalgonda district, which is, there has been a excavation of 2 very, very important temples. It's a whole complex of 5. The Badami Chalukya, the Chalukyas of Badami dated or period temples have been unearthed there with an inscription also. So this is exactly a current affairs question which has a lot of context in art and culture. So you cannot say to the UPSC next time, why have you asked this question? Because it is directly related to art and culture and you should know the state in which it has been found. It would be the easiest possible. The team has been very, very kind to push the Telegram channel link also. So you can go there and find the PDFs and then sort this issue out for yourself. Okay, let's move to a very interesting scheme which has come, which is consider the following statements with regards to Chalo India campaign. It encourages the Indian diasporic community to embrace their roots and visit India on a regular basis. The government of India will facilitate visa processing and accelerate approvals. Which of this is correct? Come on. We are still in that current affairs art and culture zone. We will be going into history very soon. %, as of right now, C. 83% poll. Sitadri should be in front of you. Anu, it should be now in front of you. It is appearing. There would be 1-2 second lag. Once I say it, then it is pushed. Okay. Lock C. A to be locked. 76%. Chalo India campaign. No, Ambika, that's a separate type of architecture. Chalukyan that's an early Vesara style, not Hoysaleshwara style, early Vesara style. Okay, let's end the poll. A lot of you are extremely happy to say that it is C, which is the answer. 73% of your C, and you would be extremely happy to know that the answer is D. Neither of these statements is correct. Chalo India campaign has nothing to do with Indian diasporic population. Rather, it is the Indian diasporic population should encourage 5 non-Indian citizens of wherever they are, and they should encourage them to go to India. So basically, Chalo India campaign was launched by the Prime Minister to encourage Indian diasporic population to become advertisements or to basically push for, encourage Indian tourism. So therefore, with 3 crore overseas Indians, the idea was if all of them can encourage 5 non-Indians to come to India, that in turn can lead to a major boost to tourism. It is a very deceiving type of campaign itself. Chalo India, lagta hai Swadesh, you should go back to Chalo India, but it is not Chalo India for the Indians, it is Chalo India for the non-Indian population, so that they can come to India itself. So this is a very interesting one. I knew most of you would not get it correctly because you go with the logic of it. So I hope diasporic means the people who are in outside India who are of Indian origin itself or NRIs in that sense. Can we move to the 9th question? Everybody is liking the questions. This is the right pace. Everything is fine. Everything is fine, right? Okay. What about point B? The government of India will facilitate visa processing in extent of nothing. No, nothing whatsoever. Everything will remain the same. There is a portal which has been created in which their packages will be given, but there is no acceleration. That's an assumption. There is no acceleration of visa and approvals. Everything will be done the same way. It is just a portal on which they can nominate, and thereafter we are not giving freebies out. So the second statement is actually incorrect. Okay, let's move to the 9th question. Consider the following statements. The Sangeet Kalanidhi Award is granted by the Sangeet Nakat Academy in the genre of Hindustani and Carnatic music. The award includes a fellowship and a cash prize for the recipients. Come on. How is one incorrect? One is incorrect because it is saying that Indians should come back to India and connect with its roots. It is saying, Pranav, that the scheme does not say Indians should come back. Indians should encourage other, for example, in Denmark or for example in UK, they should encourage the UK citizens to come to India. Okay, I hope that you've read this, which is, it is asking for incorrect. Which of these are incorrect? And as of right now, we have neither 1 nor 2 are incorrect itself. Both of them seem to be correct to most of you. Now this is a mix. I don't know who actually knows that it was incorrect or not. Let's end D. Both of them are correct. Okay, let's end the poll here. We have 30, 27, 22. How many of you have answered C, both 1 and 2? 27%. And here both the statements are incorrect. Both of them are incorrect. The Sangeet Kalanidhi Award is not given by Sangeet Natak Academy. It is given by the Music Academy. To be precise, the Madras Music Academy. If you got this, it may be the right, or also it does not give it in Hindustani music, it gives it in Carnatic music. Second, there is no fellowship. Fellowship is given in that Akademi Ratna, not here. And yes, there is a cash prize. So both the statements incorrect. Both are incorrect. See, yesterday and day before yesterday was about creating context, bringing to your level, to a certain level. Now today I am asking you serious questions, and the percentage is not that good. So you have to perform better. More than that, it may be a tasteless question, but it is a very, very realistic question for the examination. Hosana. Fellowship means that you are given a certain stipend over a year or 2 years. It's a certain scholarship which you get. Okay, haven't heard? You should. Okay, question number 10. So first 10 out of 50. Okay. Consider the following statements with regards to the Vaikom Satyagraha. Again in the news. In 1924, the Maharaja of Travancore opened 3 of the 4 roads surrounding the temple for everyone. In 1936, the Viceroy passed the Temple Entry Proclamation, which removed the age-old ban for entry of marginalized castes into temples of the state. Which of the statements are correct? Which is specifically cash, non-cash is tougher. All of them have a cash prize for sure. You should not be dwelling on that. You look for fellowship and non-fellowship. They would have something for sure as a cash prize. Lock C. Both are correct. Second is made one. D, B. So as of right now, 32% of you believe, 22 believe A is only correct, 29 believe B, 35 say both are correct. Okay, we'll end the poll here. So we have, let the percentages come. We have 36, 27, but I am more concerned about these people. The answer here is neither of the statements are correct. Neither. In the first one, the date is incorrect. and it was not Maharaja of Travancore who did it, it was a Gandhi compromise. And here it is not the Viceroy but the Maharaja of Travancore. See, the context here is Vaikom 100 years is happening, very very important, prelims and mains for sure, you will get a question, and over and above that within this 100 years itself you need to remember 3 to 4 dates: 1924, 1925, 1936. 1924 the Vaikom Satyagraha started and T.K. Madhavan was the one who took it forward, and for the first 3 months it was a very successful one with a lot of pressure created. Then the 4 roads along the Vaikom temple itself were closed, and thereafter in 1924 itself the people who had got arrested for doing the Satyagraha were released by the then regent Setu Lakshmi, who had come in place of the Maharaja who was dead. Thereafter in 1925, because there was no tangible progress, Gandhi figured out a certain compromise under which out of the 4 roads, 3 roads were open for everybody, including depressed classes. This is a temple entry movement itself. 1 road was still closed and it was kept for Brahmins. And 1936 is when, after a long drawn struggle, the Maharaja of Travancore opened the roads and specifically state run temples for the marginalized community also. So therefore both the statements are incorrect. One, there is a date issue. Second, there is an issue related to who did it. Now again, this is a very simple straightforward question. Vaikom Satyagraha has been in the news. There is a whole Indian Express article on this, and you should not be involved in this as a way of answering both and A and B. You should not be confused as of right now. This is a very important movement. When you do your modern India, you should be concentrating on things which are having their anniversaries. I have already done at least 5 such anniversaries in the past 2 sessions. I hope that you will use this as a way of an indicator, as a reminder to remember the what we call as the anniversary based questions. Okay, now the next 10. Again, for the students who love GI and were asking me for that, the Rignai Panchara textiles, which were recently in the news, is associated with which of the state UT? Andhra Pradesh, Tripura, Assam, Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, come on. We have 24% A, 43%, 48, 41% with B. So B is dominating as of right now, with 26% going with Andhra Pradesh also. We'll give it another 2 seconds and we'll now end the poll. So 40% of you, at least 39 to 40% of you are totally correct. This is coming out of Tripura. Out of Tripura, there have been 3 new additions. Again, the people who are saying I will skip it, learn it here. First is what are called the Matabari Peda Prasad, which comes from the Tripureshwari temple itself, very important, has been given a GI. Thereafter, you have the Rignai Panchara textiles, along with that the Risa. These 2 have got GIs from Tripura, 3 additions. This is the latest addition which is there. For anybody who has not been following this, please use this PPT to at least get a basic understanding of these. I cannot be more comprehensive. I could have easily avoided these type of questions. I am doing it so that you can get this information in some form or the other, and therefore use the PPT and learn the ones which are mentioned here. These are the latest ones before the paper will happen, because by March, April the paper is already set, and this is the last edition which happened in April, and therefore this remains relevant for your examination. So I hope you will learn these. Okay, let's move to question number 12. The World Monuments Fund raises awareness about cultural heritage around the world that is threatened by conflict, vandalism, disaster or neglect. It is funded and controlled by the UNESCO World Heritage Committee. Come on. Even if I tell you, Ishika, where the papers are kept, it would be heavily guarded as of right now. Okay. So, some of you have given heed to this, which is, it is an incorrect statement question, and most of you are saying neither of these statements are incorrect. Okay. B incorrect. B. Okay. Let's end the poll, and we have C. Both of them are incorrect. We have D 35, C 26. 25% of you are correct. See, this is correct. World Monuments Fund raises awareness about any site which is up for conflict, disaster, vandalism, but it has nothing to do with the UNESCO World Heritage Committee. It is privately funded with its own donees, and it's a public-private partnership, even brings in governments, and therefore this is correct, this is incorrect. So, the only incorrect statement is 2 only. So, this is again fairly easy question, was in the news. If you are still missing incorrect, then I have done 4 questions out of the 6 which have incorrect. You are still not reading closely. You should be reading closely and and this is a habit you have to develop, which is always read it is correct, incorrect in the examination, always encircle when you are reading, so that you know what you are looking at, because that will help you in decoding the question also. With this, let us move to question number 13. The Vikramaditya Vedic clock, which was recently in the news, is located in which city? Ujjain, Jaipur, Kanpur or Delhi? Again in the news, inaugurated by the Prime Minister. So, we have 14% B, Jaipur, 4%, 76% saying A. Jaipur and Ujjain are fighting with each other over this. Jantar Mantar, Mitali says, Panchang based timepiece. Ujjain. Okay, let's end this. We have 72% who are correct. It is in Ujjain. The biggest giveaway was this: Vikramaditya, Vikram calendar, Vikram era, Ujjain shakas. So, therefore, the Vikramaditya calendar Vedic clock linked to Ujjain itself. Answer is the first statement A. Okay. 14th, Fort Emmanuel, which was recently in the news, is associated with which colonial power? English, Portuguese, Dutch or Danes? Come on. We have 50% of you with Portuguese, 12 A, C 28. Okay, we'll wait 5 more seconds, then we'll end. Small writing like encirclement is allowed in question paper. Yes, you can encircle, you can't write the answer, but you can encircle. Okay, you can't encircle the answer and show it to someone else, but you can at least encircle a certain part of the question. Yes, we have, yes, B, Portuguese. It's a Portuguese fort which has recently been in the news because it needs a lot of conservation. There's a very important giveaway. If you know the Portuguese language and English language, Emmanuel is written like this in English, but in Portuguese it is written like this. They will never start with an I, they will start with an E. So, this is a giveaway if you have an understanding of the language. Other than that, Portuguese, forte manual, simple, straightforward. The same way, for example, a lot of people say, for example, Albuquerque. That is not Albuquerque, it is Albuquerque. Q-U-R is K. Same way, for example, a lot of people say Nino de Cunha or Cunha. That is not Cunha, that is Nya. Cunha. Same way, you have LH is Lea. So, the name, how you pronounce it is based on the understanding of, these are Portuguese names, so you have to pronounce in the same way. Albuquerque, Cunha and Lea, that ways. Okay. Let's move to the 15th question. Consider the following statements with regards to Usha Mehta. She was sentenced to jail in the Congress radio case. Vithalbhai, Motavne, Mehta, Bhulabhai and Chandrakant received harsh sentences under this case from the colonial government. Which of this is correct? There is a certain series which came on Netflix about Usha Mehta. She is in the news because of that, and something called Vatan and Vatan, and basically because of that a lot of conversation about Usha Mehta in that regard. I don't know which platform it is, but there was some movie or series, something like that. Now you remember the name of the series and movies very well. If I ask you GI tags, you will not tell me. You remember the actress also, you remember the name also. Priorities. Okay, let's give it another 5 seconds and then we'll end this. Okay. If you are finding that interesting, it is nothing but related to the Quit India movement, and Usha Mehta is a very important personality of that. Let's end the poll here. So 55% of you believe that both the statements are correct. Can you show me what is the percentage for A? A is 27%. Yes. So 27% if you are actually correct, not 55% of you. Which is that yes, she was sentenced in the Congress radio case, but out of the 5 people who went there, Vithalbhai and Motavne were acquitted. They were acquitted, and it was only Usha Mehta, Bhulabhai and Chandrakant who were actually given a sentence in this. It was not all 5. It was not all 5. We come to the chat itself, and here I have given you the details also, which is that 5 accused under Congress radio case itself: Usha Mehta, Bhulabhai Khakar, Vithalbhai Javeri, Chandrakant Javeri, and we have NG Motavne. And under this, Vithalbhai and Motavne were cleared of the charges. On the other hand, other 3 weren't. She will be released in 1946 and Quit India. She basically ran the Congress radio, which was the underground radio which was used by the revolutionaries in the absence of all leadership, because on 9th August 1942 itself everybody got arrested. In the absence of any form of leadership, alternative leadership came in, and she was a very important personality who orchestrated and organized everybody, and this radio was moving from place to place in order to avoid the British. No form of indigenous broadcasting was allowed, no form of equipment was also allowed, and they were caught with the equipment, which in turn led to this case itself. So please do remember Bombay City, Usha Mehta, very important personality in the news for certain reasons. Okay, let's move to question number 16. With reference to, now we are going into ancient, you are making tough questions. Now we are moving into ancient static questions. Static ancient questions. Now this is not just going to check your current affairs and art and culture, but also your static understanding of ancient, medieval, modern, mix and match. With reference to the society in the Vedic period, which of the following statements are correct? The notion of private property existed in Rig Vedic period. In the Rig Vedic period, there is no mention of slavery. The Rig Vedic or the Rig Veda refers to enslavement in course of war and as a result of debt. Bali was a voluntary offering during the later Vedic period. I have not gone with that one pair, two pair. I just wanted you to just look at it, and thereafter I am now again putting you into that context to go into that understanding in that regard. So this is not a very difficult question. It is a very easy question out of ancient India based on the Vedic period. Again, a very important area for the examination. Okay, come on. Another 10 seconds. We have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll end the poll here. And 41% of you are totally correct. Because of these options, it becomes easy. These two are self-contradictory to each other. Yes, there is reference to enslavement in the form of debt and of war. That is called the Dasa Dasi tradition. And if the Dasa Dasi tradition is there, this automatically becomes incorrect, which automatically gives you two options. More than that, there is no concept of private property in Rig Veda. Rig Veda, the wealth is according to cattle, and Bali was not a voluntary offering in the later Vedic period. Rather, it had become compulsory in that regard. Do not use the word Vishti. Vishti is a word which is used mostly for the post-Mauryan and Gupta period in that regard. Okay, let's move to question number 17. Consider the following statements. They are the magnificent repository of rock paintings with natural rock shelters. Most paintings are Mesolithic era. Largely in red, white, the paintings are essentially of varied life of surrounding forests and facets. Which this description gives you the description of which of the following? Jogimara, Ajanta, Bhimbetka or Bagh. This is basically Mesolithic rock architecture and painting in that regard, and therefore this should not be a very difficult one for you generally. Okay, more or less you are all on the same page. Let's end this. Very easy question. Bhimbetka. Bhimbetka is known for Mesolithic. It has close to 800 different shelters, out of which 500 have pictures or what we call as petroglyphs or what we call as rock paintings, and they are telling us different aspects of other surrounding forests and other aspects in that sense. So easy, not that difficult in that sense. Okay, now a relatively easy question if you have basic understanding of ancient and medieval. Arrange the following temples in chronological order and select the given code given below. 1243, 2134, 3214, 4312. I'll give you time. You have to put them in correct chronological order from the first, which is earliest, to the last. When it is not mentioned, it is automatically from the earliest to the latest. Come on, we have 56% with D, A, C, D, D, D. Please take questions between 15 and 45. That is coming, Fayaz. Don't have to worry. Modern India. I told you everything I will test in this marathon. Ancient, medieval, art and culture, modern, everything. Okay, let's end the poll now. So 49% of you are actually totally correct, which is the first is Panch Rath, then we have Shore Temple Mahabalipuram, then we have Brihadeshwara Temple, and then we have Gangaikonda Cholapuram. As it is, you should have just known Panch Rath and Shore Temple. This is Narsimhavarman 1 Mamala, this is Narsimhavarman 2 Rajsimha, this is Rajaraja Chola, and this is Rajendra Chola. And therefore, this is not a very difficult question because these temples are quite known, standard. So 2 out of Pallavas, 2 out of Cholas. If you knew that these two have to come first and these two have to come in the end because it is Pallava and Chola, you can also look at the options and figure this out. So you don't have to do that in that sense. Hosna, this is not going to just go until 9. We'll go until 10, 10:30. It's a marathon. How will I end it within 9 o'clock? Marathon means till the whatever time it takes, most probably till 10:15 will be done. Okay, let's look at the next question. Consider the following pairs: the cave and patronage. The Barabar hill or hill complex, patronage Mauryas. The Udayagiri Madhya Pradesh caves, Chedi dynasty. Seetanvansal Pallavas. Ajanta Gupta. Which of them are correctly matched? Which pairs are correctly matched? I am still going very slow. I can go much quicker, but I am still going very slow. I am trying to explain things to you so that you can understand things also as you are going along. How many pairs are correctly matched? We have B, 2 pairs. Vamsi is saying C, 3 pairs. 51% of you are as of right now towards B, 50%. People are saying 2 and 4 is not correctly matched. Are they being repeated from starting course? No, above. All these questions are new. Only maybe 5% of them would be the ones which I found very important for the examination. Everything else is straightforward. We'll end the poll because Aniruddha has pushed the answer itself. So that would be something which would help everyone. So we'll remove. Here the answer is not B but actually C. 3 pairs. The Barabar, which is Avjivika caves, Mauryas, totally correct. Seetanvansal Pallavas, totally correct. Ajanta got patronage from Vakatakas also, Guptas also, and from Satavahanas also. So this is also correct. The only one which is incorrect is Udayagiri, the Varaha image. This is not Chedi dynasty, it is Gupta. Chandragupta II Vikramaditya actually gave patronage to creating the Udayagiri MP caves. Remember, Udayagiri Khanderi caves, Udayagiri caves, 2 different things. One is in Odisha also, this one is the MP one, and this is based on Ajanta is correct, and you should not confuse yourself. Though it is properly made under the Vakatakas, Guptas also gave patronage to create at least 3 to 4. It is not saying single patronage, it is saying which have got patronage generally. So Udayagiri is the only one which is incorrect, 3 pairs in that sense. So I hope that you are again liking these type of questions. I have again tried to not keep them bland, but I am trying to make you think about certain things vis-a-vis art and culture and ancient. Anybody who has not done ancient medieval will automatically start to struggle with the art and culture, because art and culture is based on ancient medieval only. There's a lot of myth and misnomer, a lot of misinformation in the certain channels, multiple channels, that leave ancient medieval, do modern and art and culture. But art and culture will not make sense without ancient medieval. If you don't know the idea of timelines, which dynasty where it comes, then automatically you will start to struggle. That is why most of you find Nitin Singhania very, very alien, that you are not able to follow what he is saying, because he presumes that you would have read ancient medieval and come to Nitin Singhania. That is where a lot of people are asking you to commit suicide. That is where you should make sure, if you are 2025 and if you are 2024, the bus has already passed. That's a separate issue altogether. For anybody who is listening to me for 2022, 2025, 26, 27, please don't do the same mistake. Okay, let's move to the next question. Question number 20. Which of the following factors are responsible for the rise of Jainism and Buddhism? Reaction against rituals, intermediaries' misrepresentation or misinterpretation of religion, a rigid Varna system, or all of the above? This you should get correct. That is why most of you are in the right bracket here. So there is no need for the poll also, we can end that. So yes, all of the above. Buddhism and Jainism was a reaction to the concept of ritualized, what we call as a very strong ritual emphasis, ritualistic worship and obsession with rituals within Vedic Brahmanism. Intermediaries misinterpretation of religion, wherein the Brahmin was the one who was interpreting religion itself, and Varna system was not allowing the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas, the second and the third in the Varna hierarchy, to move forward, which is no social mobility, and yes, it makes the answer all of the above. It's a very simple, straightforward one. Okay, we can move to question number 21. It will become even more what we call as intricate. Close reading is needed. With reference to the Indian or what is called Indo-Roman trade, which of these statements are correct? The period between 6th century BC and 6th century CE saw flourishing trade between India and Roman Empire. The Arthashastra gives us a list of goods exported to the Roman Empire from the Indian ports. Kalhana refers to the drain of Roman gold into India. Roman bronze coins have been found in large quantities and hoards in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Which of them are correct? We have C, 43% are saying only 3 are correct. B are saying only 2 are correct. Some of you are saying A. Jainism and Buddhism, in certain cases they do. They are very self-contradictory when it comes to birth, rebirth. But yes, within Jainism there is an understanding of rebirth. Within the whole Jatak concept is based on Buddha's rebirths. So yes, we'll end the poll here. We have C only 3, 48, 38, 8. I like the 3% here, which is none of these statements are correct. None whatsoever. Firstly, you should know the time period. Indo-Roman trade is not between 6th century BC and 6th century CE. It is 3rd century BC and 3rd century CE. 6th century would put it into Mahajanpada until Gupta. However, it should be 3rd to 3rd, which is the period between the decline of the Mauryans to the rise of the Guptas itself. This is incorrect. Arthashastra does not give us any list. It is the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea which gives us a certain concept of what are the things which are going in and around. Kalhan again does not talk about, he is talking about the history of Jammu and Kashmir. He is not that, that is Pliny. Pliny gives us a list of what is the amount of drain which was happening, gold draining out of Roman Empire. And bronze coin will never be found in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Roman trade was mostly concentrated in peninsular sector. Yes, Raj Tarangani has no reference to this. So peninsular sector, only Tamil Nadu we find bronze coins. Gold coins have been found all across. So none of these statements are correct. Now the point is, this is not a difficult question. To be very honest, this is not a very difficult question. This is a conceptual question. And 48% of you believe that 3 statements here are correct. This is not a good indication, but I will take it into the stride that there were a lot of facts, therefore you were maybe not able to answer this question. But this is a purely conceptual understanding. Which of the statements are correct? None of them. None. 4th shouldn't be incorrect. 4th is incorrect. The Roman bronze coins only are found mostly in peninsular sector, specifically Tamil Nadu. Roman gold coins maybe are scattered till Maharashtra and what we call as a little bit of MP, but in North Uttar Pradesh and Bihar we don't find Roman gold coins in that sense. So don't worry, it is out of a very authentic source. Don't have to worry about that. There was also one more student who had commented about yesterday about Rajshekhar, and Rajshekhar with specifically how it is related to Bhoja. And please, I want to again clarify there, Rajshekhar is related to Bhoja also, Mahendrapal also and Mahipal also. It said adorned his court, meaning that he was associated, yes, with Bhoja also, but he lived through Mahendrapal and Mahipal's reign. So a lot of you make a lot of statements, but these are made out of very standard straightforward sources. He quoted Satish Chandra, I am again quoting Satish Chandra NCERT. So don't have to worry about that. So generally this is a conversation we can have, but the 4th statement is actually correct. Okay, Manish is giving another source for that, no issues whatsoever. Okay, let's move to question number 22. Consider the following statements regarding the Gupta administration. Again a very important zone, which is Bhoja was a kind of tax or tax paid in cash as per different tax slabs. Shulk was a custom or toll tax. Vishti or system of forced labor was totally prohibited. Which is correct? Come on. Priya, you are right about that. Okay. Bhoga, Shulka, Vishti. We have A 48% dominating right now. Second option is correct according to some people. What is Viman? Viman is the Shikhar of South India, if you want to call it. The curvilinear tower in South India is called Vimana. The name changes if it goes to North India, it becomes Shikhar. Ironically, the top of Viman is called Shikhar in South India. Shikhar Amlaka Kalash. Okay, let's end the poll. So we have 45% saying only one is correct, and you are totally correct. 45% totally correct. Bhoga is not paid in cash. It is not voluntary. It used to be voluntary. It is a compulsory transfer of fruits and forest produce, or not in cash but in kind. And Vishti, forced labor, became even more common during the Gupta period. I referred to it also, and therefore these two are incorrect. Shulk means it's a generic word for any form of custom and toll. So you already know that. So therefore only one. Let's move to question number 23. Now we're moving and transitioning a little bit into medieval. With regards to the market reforms policy of Allaudin Khilji, which of the statements are correct? Each market was under the control of a high officer called Sartaj. Land revenue was raised to half of the produce. To ensure there was no hoarding, Banjaras were given options to voluntarily register. Barney tells us that during famines, prices were also increased to meet the demands of the state. Which of these are correct? This also plays on a little bit of perception. It plays on perception also, because fourth statement is correct. Well, Satyajit, good. Tina is saying B, only 2. Which 2, Tina? Vaibhav is saying A, question mark. He is asking me for the answer. Okay, we will end the poll here. Only 26% of you are correct. Only one statement is correct here. Can anybody tell me which is that statement? Which is that statement which is correct? Gaurav is saying only B. 2. Some are saying 4. Some are saying 3. Some are saying 1, 2. Yes, okay, see. Each market was not under a Sartaj but a Shahna. They were called Shahnai Mandi. This is incorrect. To ensure hoarding, there was no hoarding. Banjaras were not voluntarily allowed to register. They had to register. During famines, prices were not increased. They were decreased. Perceptional issue, you would believe that they would not do it. The only statement which is correct is Muhammad bin Tughlaq and Allaudin Khilji are the only two people who tried to make it half of produce in order to get more money, in order to counter the Mongol threat itself. So the only statement which is correct is second one. So 1, 3, 4 are incorrect. Fourth is a little bit of a perceptional issue, though it is actually correct. Though it is actually correct. Okay, let's move to the next statement or next question. Chola, everybody loves Chola. Which of the given statements is correct? The Chola kingdom was divided into provinces called mandalams, each governed by a prince or viceroy. The Cholas conducted comprehensive land surveys and revenue settlements for tax assessment purposes. The committees for these villages were selected as per the instructions given by the Uttramerur inscription based on current affairs in that regard. The Agrahara village or the Agraharam villages had assemblies called Sabha or Mahasabha. Which of these statements are correct? Half of produce Pratibha means 1/3 of produce, half of produce is a tax rates, meaning if you produce 10 kgs, the state will take 5 kgs, half of produce. Okay, come on. We will give it another 5 seconds. C is dominating as of right now. We'll end the poll now. So 45, 34, 14, 5. Here 45% totally correct. All these statements are corrected. One of you have written selected and elected. Please don't read too much into this. Uttramerur inscription gives you the eligibility of selection. It is through chit. So it is not election. So please remember, Uttramerur inscription was in the news itself. This is correct. Chola yes, and Mandalam totally correct. You have Ur with the concept of the non-Brahmadeya villages. In Brahmadeya or Agraharam villages we have the Sabha and Nagaram. So here all the statements are actually correct. Okay. With this, let's move to question number 25. Which of the following is not true about Mughal architectural development? Akbar used white marble as a building material in most of his buildings. Safdarjung's tomb at Delhi copies the plan of the Taj Mahal. The tomb of Itmaduddaulah was built by Noor Jahan. The Gaj, Hansa, Pada, Swastik and the Chakra motifs were used in Akbar's tomb. Come on, tell me which is not true for, Vaisha is a generic word which is not true for Mughal architectural development. So most of you are going with B. 3 are not true for architectural development. One and 2 incorrect. Very good, Tina. Okay, we'll end the poll here. I am confused with regards to how are you coming to this conclusion. B is 44%, A is 38%. It is A who are correct. A who are actually correct, which is Akbar is not known for white marble. It is Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan is the marble guy of Mughals. Akbar is red sandstone one. This is incorrect. Safdarjung tomb, Bibi ka Maqbara, Aurangzeb and Safdarjung. Exact copies of the Taj Mahal, but were never able to actually pull it off. Geometry was wrong. Itmaduddaulah is the tomb of father of Noor Jahan, Mirza Ghiyas Beg, and yes, it is the first instance where you find Peter Dury. So this is also correct. And Akbar's tomb has Hinduistic motifs. That is what makes Akbar Akbar. So if it was true, then you would have been correct. It is saying not true, then only one is not true. So either you did not read it or you were getting confused by the language of the question itself. So I hope that you will be able to get this question in the examination with regards to this. Okay. Consider the following statements and select the correct answer with the help of the code given below. Both Buddhism and Jainism do not accept the Varna system. Both Buddhism and Jainism do not accept the authority of the Vedas. Both Buddhism and Jainism believe in ahimsa. Which of these are true? Okay. B. Only 2. For the students who are answering only 2, which 2? We have 40 and 42. Only third statement. Okay, 41, 42. We'll end the poll here. We have B41, C40. Here the answer is C, 40%. Where did you get, somebody is writing Jainism accepted Varna system. Where did you get this information from? Both Buddhism and Jainism, or if the second is correct, then the first will automatically be incorrect, or rather correct, which is, if the second is correct, then this first is also correct. Buddhism, Jainism do not accept the authority of the Vedas. If they don't accept the authority of the Vedas, they will not accept Varna system also. And therefore, they automatically, both Buddhism and Jainism, Jains more towards Ahimsa and Buddhist less towards Ahimsa. They are flexible about Ahimsa, Jains too much. So, I read, I don't know where have you read that, but Jainism and Buddhism outrightly reject Varna system. Though they, when it comes to practice, were not that good in applying a non-Varnaistic understanding or breaking the notions itself, but on paper within their ideology, they straightforward go against the Varna system. So, I will be very clear in saying this to you that both Buddhism and Jainism, if they reject the Vedas, they will automatically reject the Varna system. If you are trying to, if your Jains don't condemn Varna system, they do condemn Varna system. Mahavira talked about that, Buddha talked about that. Again, very simply, standard R.S. Sharma, Upinder Singh, whatever source you will read, if you will read the idea also, if you will read the philosophy also, Buddhism and Jainism did not accept the Varna system. You may be talking about how though they criticized and condemned the Varna system, but totally did not break away from it. This is an absolute statement. So, they do condemn it. Exceptional cases are different. In their ideology, in their text, they do condemn, they do not follow the Vedas. That automatically puts them against. See, I don't know how most of you are getting confused. When I asked you a question, what was the context for the rise of Buddhism and Jainism, then you were very quick to say rigidity of Varna system. Now, when you are saying, see, the NCERT, the context for that is in the context of a very simplistic NCERT level statement. When you will go to 12th class NCERT, you may be referring to 6th one. You will go to 12th class NCERT, and that too NCERT as of right now is not important for us because Upinder Singh and R.S. Sharma and D.N. Jha, it says the same thing. So, that I also know what context in which that statement is written. It is written as a qualified statement which says that the Jains condemned Varna system but did not break away from the Varna system in practice. This is not in that context. So, again, Nitin Singhani has a lot of mistakes. Jainism does not believe in Vedas. If Jainism would be believing in Vedas, then what is the point of Rishabhnath's whole ideology of Jainism itself? So, please be very clear, NCERT is important, but nowhere does the UPSC say that our questions are based on NCERTs. It's a tradition based understanding. NCERT 6th class mentions that in the context of a certain qualified statement. That is still irrelevant. As per basic idea and ideology, Jainism, Buddhism, what you need to know for UPSC is both of these statements are correct. There is no doubt whatsoever. There is no doubt whatsoever. So, please don't comment on this. Please don't write it in the chat box that Jainism this, Jainism that. This is a totally, these three statements are totally correct and there should be no doubt about this. Can I move to question number 27? Yes? Nisha, okay. Now, let's move to question number 27. I am a PhD in history, Nisha. So, separate issue altogether. Okay. Consider the following statements about the Bhakti movement. The Bhakti movement predates the arrival of the Mughals in India. The Bhakti movement in South India flourished in 7th and 8th century. South Indian Bhakti saints used vernacular languages to express their love for God. Kabir propagated a religion of love aiming to unify all castes and creeds, which is correct. SK, where has it written? Where? UPSC has not asked a question like this for the past 10 years. But I don't want to go into that conversation because I am telling you it is a standard thing against Vedas, against Varna system. That is the context of the rise itself. Okay. Which of these are correct? C, only 3, all. I think C. The people who are answering C, which is a statement which is doubtful. 3 and 4 only. Okay. 42% of you go with C and 37 go with D. What is the issue? Which is first is wrong? How is the first statement wrong? How is the first statement wrong? Third is wrong. Third is also not wrong. How is the first statement wrong? Read it properly. First statement, what does it say? It says Bhakti. See, if second is correct, then how is the first one incorrect? I am giving you in the first statement, second statement itself, the answer for the first. Bhakti movement predates, meaning it is before the arrival of the Mughals. Mughal is 16th century. So obviously, yes. Bhakti movement is 7th and 8th century. Mughals is 16th century. So this is also correct. Bhakti movement saints wrote in vernacular languages. Yes, they wrote in Telugu, Tamil and Kannada and Malayalam. Correct. Kabir talks about Ram, Rahim all being the same, use, love. All statements are correct. So if the problem is that if you are seeing the second statement as correct, I don't know why are you saying it predates Delhi Sultanate also, it predates Mughals also, it predates Vijayanagara Bahmani also, it predates anything which is before, basically anything after it is something which it predates. So very simply, predate means it is before. Obviously it is before the Mughal India, it is before Delhi Sultanate. Some of you are getting confused in the question which I asked in the app, where you basically saw Delhi Sultanate and you saw no, it is Delhi Turk, Delhi Sultanate. That is a statement changed. Just I made it Mughal. Anything which is after 7th and 8th century is something which will be, it will be predating. So straightforward. Vaibhav, so you got your answer. Even all sources, all of us here are on the same page with regards to this. Okay. Now, Bhakti movement is 6th to 9th. See, South Indian Bhakti is the concept of 7th, 8th, 9th. North Indian Bhakti is 13th, 14th, 15th, more or less. Okay. Let's move to question number 28. With reference to Deccan paintings or Deccan paintings, consider the following statements. I hope all of you are on the same page with me here. Everybody is comfortable, everything is going fine, you are okay. That is true, Minerva Mills. That is the whole point. Everything is fine, right? We are reaching 30, so 20 more. Okay. So we don't call it overall Bhakti movement. We call it South and India and what we call as North India separately. Now, with reference to Deccan paintings, consider the following statements. They were totally free from the influence of Mughal paintings. Ibrahim Adil Shah was a great patron of Deccan style of painting. The main character and less significant figures were depicted in equal sizes. There is frequent use of gold and white colors. Poll is in front of you. Which are correct? B is dominating. Okay. We will end the poll here. Which are the statements which are correct? The students are saying 48% B and A 34%. For the students who are arguing only three statements are correct. Which 3 statements are correct? 1 is wrong. A and C are wrong, Aman is saying. Okay, we can go back to the chat. Okay, B is correct. B and D. A and wrong. B and D. B and D. So A and C are wrong. So if A and C are wrong, if two statements are wrong out of 4, then the answer has to be only 2. Only 2. Yes, A and C are wrong. Deccan paintings obviously will have Mughal paintings influence, because the same painters went to the Deccan sector. And the C part is also incorrect, because this is a very interesting characteristic of Deccan paintings, which is that the main figures are shown in bigger size and the non-significant figures are shown in smaller size. This is what is called as social hierarchy or societal notions being pushed through paintings itself. So here this is incorrect, this is incorrect. What is correct is Ibrahim Adil Shah and frequent use of gold and white colors. So this is correct, only 2, not only 3. Right. Let's move to question number 29. Consider the following statements with respect to coins in ancient and medieval India. Krashapan or Krashapanas were the punch marked coins used during the Mauryan period. Satavahanas or Satvahana kings primarily used an alloy known as potin as material for minting. Balban introduced silver tanka and copper jittal, and Muhammad bin Tughlaq introduced token currency. Which of the following are correct? Okay. Okay. C only 3, B, C 1, 3, 4. We'll stop the poll here. We have 39C, 34B. 39C, 34B. Okay. Coins. Krashpana were punch marked coins used during the Mauryan period. Correct. Potin, because they had an economic crisis, used for, which is an alloy of silver and copper mixed together. Yes, correct. Satavahanas. Did Muhammad bin Tughlaq introduce token currency? Yes, he did. The whole concept itself. And did Balban introduce tanka and jittal? No. Iltutmish, the first major ruler of the Delhi Sultanate, Iltutmish is correct. Which of the statements are above correct? So we have the right answers, only 3. Only 3 are correct. 1, 2 and 4 are correct. And Balban is not the one who developed tanka jittal. Remember the word pittal, jittal close to each other. Copper coin called jittal, that is the place from where the word pittal comes in, and that is a very important point you need to remember. In Mughal India, they are not called tanka and jittal, they are called dam, rupaya and dinar or mohar. Here it is called tanka and jittal, 2 major coins in that sense. Okay, let's move to question number 30. So next 20 left for 1 hour. Under the Mughals, assessment was separately made for Kharif and Rabi crops. Zabti was a method of assessment whose origin can be traced to Sher Shah Suri or Sher Shah. Akbar adopted Sher Shah's ray. Akbar introduced his Karori experiment or Karori, what are called Karoris were appointed all over North India in 1574-75. Which is the correct statement? This is Satyajit, you should not be skipping this question. It's a very easy question. Very easy question. Which is correct? Come on. We have D, C fighting with each other. We'll end the poll here. Okay. C 40%, D 33%. So, under the Mughals, assessment was made for Kharif and Rabi separately. Yes. Zabti has its origin in Sher Shah. Yes, because if the C statement is correct, then B has to be correct. Zabti is based on the concept of Ray. Ray is called differential rate of assessment, which is previously, before Sher Shah introduced Ray, what used to happen was 1/3 of the produce was multiplied by a fixed rate to convert it into cash. This is called differential rate of conversion to cash in that regard. And therefore, if you are producing wheat and if you are producing rice, if rice is being sold at a larger, what we call as a higher price in the market, then the wheat farmer would actually be at a disadvantage. So, what Sher Shah did, which made C correct, which is the idea that let me tax you according to the crop you produce. So, differential rate of taxation conversion into cash, and that is nothing called Ray. So, these two are correct. And yes, Akbar, in order to cut down the corruption over the Kanungos were the ones who used to send the data with regards to market prices to the center, which is that the Wazir and the Vakil used to receive the data from the Kanungos from different sectors. But if they are, in the next 3 questions, Nisha, modern day is going to start. If there is a lot of what we call as information which is going towards the center which is incorrect, that would distort the Ray. In order to undercut that, Karoris were appointed in order to find a solution so that the Karoris could go through the data which the Kanungos have sent. There used to be what is called as double checking, and then Ray used to be introduced. Okay. Now, let's move to question number 31. After this, now next I think 15 or 16 or 18 questions are modern India, so don't worry. What's a Karori? Karori is an official. Kanungo is an official. Total Bandobast, Dhasala system. Zabti, when you add measurement to Dhasala, it becomes Zabti. With reference to the reforms introduced by Sher Shah Suri, which of the following statements is incorrect? He introduced a silver coin called the Rupiah. He repaired the ancient Uttarpad that connected Tamralipti to Purshapura, which is Peshawar. Throughout his empire, the merchants were required to pay custom duty on the goods 3 times. He held the village headmen and zamindars accountable for any losses the merchants incurred while travelling in this area or in their area in that regard. Okay. Pratibha, no. No. Zabti is a modified structure of Ray. Ray, when it is made 10-year average, it becomes Dhasala. If you add in Dhasala measurement, it becomes Zabti. So, the origin of the base of the whole Zabti, Dhasala, Total Bandobast is actually Sher Shah Suri's understanding itself. Okay. C, let's end the poll here. Okay, most of you are caught up with this. It is not 3 times, it is twice. First, when you come from the east or the west with regards to Sikri Gali or Multan. Second time, when you pay it at the time of selling it. So, there is a tax when it is entering into the Sher Shah Suri dynasty, and then when you are selling it to the customer twice. So, double taxation, not 3 types taxation. So, this is very easy that way, simple straightforward statement. Okay, for the students who are waiting for modern, now from 32 to 50 modern India questions, now your productivity and your efficiency should go up automatically. So, let us see. Okay, Dam is not, Pratibha, is not a silver coin is called Rupiah. Dam is called copper coin. Which of the following statements regarding Tilak Home Rule League is not correct? Tilak's Home Rule League was set up at Belgaum in April of 1915. Its branches were established at Kanpur, Allahabad, Benares, Mathura, Calicut and Ahmednagar. Tilak popularized the demand for Home Rule League through his lectures. Tilak was arrested for propagating the idea of Home Rule, which is incorrect. Sikri Gali if you are coming from the eastern sector, Multan if you are coming from west. Priya. Okay, here it should have been a higher percentage, but it should not be 62. Okay, let's end the poll here. Here the answer is very simply B, which is Tilak's Home Rule League was actually vis-a-vis Annie Besant's Home Rule League, and the geographical zone of each were actually pointed out. Firstly, Tilak's Home Rule League was Bombay Presidency except for Bombay city itself, northern Karnataka and parts of central provinces, while everywhere else it was Annie Besant. So Mathura, Calicut and Ahmednagar don't sit well along with Benares and even Allahabad. Kanpur was again somewhere which would not fully fall under his purview. So this is the statement which is incorrect, and this is something which is also, this is a Home Rule League was set up in Belgaum in April 1516. So these both dates are correct in that regard. So which is not correct? B, which is not correct. It should not be 1915, it should be 1915-16. This one works because the idea had come in April of 1915 itself. It was implemented in the what we call Bombay Provincial Assembly in 1916 itself. So it was set up in 1916. The idea of Home Rule League was in 1915. So see, B is the outrightly incorrect statement. I gave you A to push you into that zone. 1916 is the correct date for formation of Home Rule League, but between A and B I wanted you to choose which one is more wrong than this. This UPSC does from time to time. It will give you the idea that two statements are incorrect, but B is more. So you were able to point that out also that this one seems to be incorrect, and to some extent it is incorrect. But because the idea was in 1915-16, it still goes. This one is outrightly incorrect. It is outrightly incorrect. Belgaum session is not written. That is why that is the saving grace here. If it was exactly saying the Bombay Provincial Assembly in Belgaum session itself, then you have to look for it. Home Rule League was set up at Belgaum. Basically the idea was set up. So here you have to choose between the two. This is where UPSC for the past 3 years has been giving questions, and yes, in 2023 they had to drop questions, in 22 they had to drop 2 questions because they give you 2 statements. Your judgment matters in between which you want to choose. So why did I write 1915? Because the idea of Home Rule League is developing from 1915 itself. 1916 it will be Annie Besant and Tilak. There's a very long conversation which happens between Tilak and Annie Besant over Home Rule. Annie Besant wanted one Home Rule League, but the Tilak followers said that they were not in favor of the concept of a single Home Rule League, under which they did not want to follow Annie Besant. So therefore the idea emerges in 1915. By 1916 they put it into place that we will have 2, and that splitting up the concept itself comes here. So the first statement technically is incorrect, but is also correct in the context of not giving you exact details. B is which is the properly incorrect in that regard. Yes, Fayaz, that is the whole point. This is how UPSC plays with you. Please be very clear. The formal setting up of a dual divided Annie Besant and Tilak is 1916. It will take another 1 year for Annie Besant to actually put it into place properly. By 1917 she will actually start to properly do it. So 15, 16, 17 are 3 dates which are mostly introduced. That is why when Gandhi came to India, he was very wary of the Home Rule League movement. The idea of Home Rule League was already in place, that we will go for something like Home Rule. Because if you will read the basic what we call as internal conversations in that regard, this is the concept. 1916 is the concept, idea is Annie Besant's 1915-16. The concept itself comes out of the 15 initial conversation, 1916 end. Okay, let's move to the next question. Question number 33. Consider the following statements about differences between moderates and extremists. Gandhiji did not join Home Rule League movement. No, he stayed away from everybody. The social base of moderates was zamindars, upper middle classes in towns, whereas the social base for extremists were middle and lower middle classes. Moderates took ideological inspiration from European history, whereas extremists took ideological inspiration from Indian history. The moderates professed loyalty to the British crown, whereas the extremists believed that the British crown was unworthy of claiming Indian loyalty. Which of the statements are correct? Come on. We have C, all three dominating as of right now. This is a very easy question. Very easy question. We'll end the poll here. I could see one statement, 2 is not wrong. See, here, all three statements are correct. Social base is very straightforward. Elitist class was moderates base, the lower middle class and the emerging youth, that is correct. Moderates profess loyalty, benevolence, disloyalty, the concept. You are mostly getting confused over the idea that moderates got inspiration from European history, whereas extremists took ideological inspiration from Indian history. You are confusing, for example, Mazzini, Garibaldi and the influences of the Russian Revolution with regards to how the extremists believe that Swaraj and Indian systems were better than what the Europeans argue. Moderates were a direct product of European history, European education, English education, and therefore this statement is correct. They believed that the British will create India as a metropolis as it should be, and therefore this is a correct statement. Whilst the extremists started to argue that is why the Ganpati festival, that is why the Shivaji festival, the idea that we already had a very prosperous great civilization which should not be in that sense criticized. So therefore 1, 2, 3, all these three statements are correct. Okay, let's move to the 34th question. Which of the following statements regarding revolutionary activities during the early 20th centuries are correct? In 1907, Prafulla Chakki and Raj Bihari Bose plotted an attempt to murder Kingsford, an unpopular judge at Muzaffarpur. In 1909, Madan Lal Dhingra assassinated Curzon Willie in London. In 1912, Sachin Sanyal and Khudiram Bose attempted to assassinate Viceroy Lord Hardinge. Which of the statements are correct? Only 1, only 2, all 3 or none? Yes, this is the last session of history. Thereafter from tomorrow you will have economics. Please do not read the statements, gives us some time. You can read the statement as I am reading it. I am reading it for everybody. Okay. We will give it another 5 seconds. Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's end it. 49% of you are totally correct. Which is correct? Only 1. Second, 1909, Madan Lal Dhingra, Curzon Willie, a employee of the what we call a Secretary of State in London. So this is correct. Here, firstly, the date is wrong. 1908 it should be, and Raj Bihari Bose has nothing to do with Kingsford assassination. Khudiram Bose and Prafulla Chakki, here I have interchanged actually, and Sachin Sanyal and Raj Bihari Bose are the ones who did Hardinge bombing, which is 1912 itself. So first and the third statement are incorrect. Second statement is correct. I have just played with the names. I could have made this question even more difficult because I could have added more obscure names, but I gave you the basic standard names in that sense. Basic standard names in that sense, and therefore 1, 2, 3, 2 are incorrect. Okay, let's move to 35, that makes us the last 15 questions. In the context of legislative councils during the British period, this is a difficult question. Which among the following leaders had been nominated to it? I have kept this way so that it becomes a little bit easier for you. Okay, which is the answer? We have 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. This may be something which students may previously know. Yes, Tushar, I know that. This is something which everybody should know because was in the news also. Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Let's end the poll here. I want to see D is 54%. What is the other option which students have chosen? 18, 14, 13, very evenly distributed. See, it is D. Please learn their names. Please learn their names. All of them were the what I call nominated members of the initial legislative councils in that regard. I have given you the context and explanation here also. You can read it after you get the PDF. But just to be very clear, these 4 personalities were one of the initial members which had, and this is Raspberry Ghosh. There's a different Ghosh and Bose are different. Raspberry Bose, extremist, related to the INA also, what we discussed previously. And here all 4 are actually totally correct. Okay. Question number 36. Consider the following statements. Secretary of State of India was a member of the British Cabinet and was answerable to the British Parliament. While the presidencies were administered by the lieutenant governors, other provinces were administered by the governors. The provincial legislative councils were given, they should not be given powers similar to a democratic parliament by Indian Council Act of 1861. Okay, come on, tell me. I hope that you've read this. Okay. So we have Secretary of State to India. We'll end the poll here, more or less. We have, oh no, okay. We have 49% B. So totally correct, 49%. 2 statements are incorrect here. This is correct. Secretary of State was nothing but a cabinet position, was answerable to the Prime Minister, then to the Parliament. Presidencies had governors, other places had lieutenant governors, and Chief Commissioner's area was there. And third is also incorrect. In 1861, legislative councils were useless. And therefore, there was no democratic power which was given. This is an extreme statement. This is an extreme statement. So, please be clear about this. Okay. Question number 37. Choose the correct option. For the Indian peasant, commercialization was a forced process. The commercialization trend reached the highest level of development in the plantation sector, which is tea, coffee, rubber, indigo, which was mostly owned by Europeans. The fragmentation of land due to sub-infeudation made it difficult to introduce modern technology, which caused a perpetual low level of productivity. Which of these statements are correct? Okay. We'll give it 10 more seconds. Mithali, there is a difference. Tell me what is that difference. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. We have 68% at all, and yes, all. Commercialization was a forced process in India, forced commercialization. Here, if you've seen previously this question, it was an incorrect statement, but it is now a correct statement that most of the plantations which were there in Assam or what we call as coffee plantations in Coorg and all were owned by Europeans. And the third statement is a little bit of a technical statement. What it actually says, sub-infeudation means a whole chain of what we call as ownership and what is called the differentiation of ownership in that regard. Absentee landlordism, permanent settlement, all led to what we call as a simple concept of what we call as breaking down of ownership into multiple hands, and that in turn led to low level of productivity, which is correct. So, highest level, how is it highest level? Plantations are actually the most capitalist enterprise which can always be there. So, the highest level of development of commercialization was in plantation itself. Plantation is a place where there is cultivation, processing, finishing, and thereafter it is sold to the market. So, isn't that the highest level of commercialization? Which is commercialization at the best highest level is in the form of plantations. You had cotton plantations, we in India we do not have cotton plantations, but rubber, indigo, most common coffee and tea. So, I hope Simsia you understand that. Okay. That was Vamsi to make that question incorrect. Okay. Question number 38. Consider the following statements regarding permanent settlement of land. It was introduced under the tenure of Hastings. It was majorly focused on the southern territories of India. Zamindars were made the owners of the land and had to pay 90% of the land revenue to the British. It was one of the reasons behind the drain of wealth from India to Britain. Okay, come on. We have B, only 2. Acha, I hope that you have realized this, which is not correct. So, you have to tell me which is not correct. So, there are most of you are going with B, only 2 statements are not correct. Yes, Anupam, in a way you are right. Okay, we will end the poll because yes, Anupam, either way it will give you the same answer. There are 2 statements which are correct and there are 2 statements which are incorrect. Which are the 2 statements which are incorrect? I hope you will get that correctly. 1 and 2, yes. It was not introduced under Hastings. Every child knows in India Cornwallis. Thereafter focused in nice southern states, eastern India, specifically Bengal, Bihar, Orissa. Zamindars had to pay 10/11th, which if you make it into percentage more or less is 90%, and it was a reason behind drain of wealth. Yes, it was a channel through which they were paying for the Chinese commodities and opium, and therefore 3 and 4 correct, 1 and 2 incorrect. So, fairly easy question. Question number 39. Consider the following statements regarding tribal uprisings. The Paharias rebellion aimed to resist the British expansion on their territories in the Raj Mahal Hills. The Chwar uprising against the rise in demand and economic privatization imposed by the British. Coal uprising were a reaction to the expansion of British rule on the coal lands and the transfer of their territories to outsiders. Santhal rebellion initially targeted the practice of zamindars and moneylenders but later turned into anti-British, which is correct. Here it should be slam dunk. It should be more or less slam dunk. It's an easy question. Okay. So, we will end the poll here because most of you are already on board with me, and this is to teach you something if you already do not know. All these statements are correct. This is giving you the reason, and therefore you should know what is the reasons for this uprising. The Paharia rebellion was in the news because the Paharia tribe was in the news because of their community seed banks in that regard. So I hope that you will remember the context. This is a current affairs question based out of modern India. They were against the rise in demand and the privatization. Basically, the British entered this sector, the demand of taxation and the economic privatization, meaning dikhus are they called, the outsiders were allowed to enter and take the areas, and that is what the two are. Most of the tribals have only three issues: either encroachment, outsiders, exploitation, or Munda and Santhal become anti-British properly in that sense. Okay. Now, last 10. Question number 40. Consider the following statement. This is a difficult question. If you've been a part of phase 1, you may have an idea about this. The Hartog Committee's primary mandate was to conduct a comprehensive survey evaluating the expansion and development of education within British India. This is basically education commissions. The Sadler Commission was specifically or established to investigate and assess the prevailing conditions and prospects of University of Bombay. The Hunter Commission's principal task was to examine and scrutinize the implementation of Wood's Dispatch of 1854, playing a crucial role in evaluating its impact and execution. Which of the statements are correct? Okay. Only one, only two, all, or none? Three is incorrect. It's not called Bangalore Mahal, it's called Jungle Mahal. The word Chuar itself has a certain connotation. In order to change that, historians have made it into the history of the uprising in the Jungle Mahal. Okay, we'll end the poll here. Yes, second is incorrect, which is Hartog was to basically check the development of education in India generally. Hunter Commission came just after the Wood's Dispatch, and therefore it was checking what was happening generally. Sadler Commission was not based on University of Bombay but University of Calcutta. That was the epicenter. I'll give you a certain what we call as a trick here, which is, remember this: Vohura, Sad, Har, Sir, and you will remember all the commissions. Wood's Dispatch, Hunter Commission, Ray Commission, which is Indian Universities Commission, Sadler, Hartog, and Sargent. So, Vohura, Sad, Har, Sir, if you can remember this acronym, all of them in chronological order, so you will remember it generally for the examination. Okay, let's move to the last 10. Okay, with reference to Dadabhai Naoroji's drain theory, consider the following statements. The economic drain from India to Britain comprised the salaries and pensions of British officers or officials working in India. A component of the drain was the interest on loans taken by the Indian government from abroad. The drain theory suggested that the wealth drain from India had no significant impact on the economic development of Britain, which is correct. Okay. See, till this point I have tried to do 3 to 4 things with you. Last 10 we are discussing whilst you read this question. Firstly, I have tried to do as many current affairs questions with you, close to 40 questions, 40 topics I have done, 45 maybe of current affairs with you firstly. Second, from that question of the Belgaum 1915, that idea of how you choose the more wrong statement, that was intentionally placed to see, do you fall into the trap? I would have easily made it 1919, 1920 or 25, then it would have made it properly incorrect. But which question is, when there are two statements in which you are basically caught up, that Tilak question, you have to choose which is the incorrect statement and you have to always go with a certain logic. And third is, most of these questions are conceptual. Factual questions I have tended to avoid in that sense, but I hope that this marathon is doing justice to your revision of ancient, medieval, modern and art and culture. I've tried to pick up as many questions from all the zones which are relevant for the examination. Okay, let's end the poll here. I've given as much time as possible. Okay, so here the answer is, which is correct. Only two statements are correct here. It is B, 63%. Economic drain from India comprised the salaries and pensions. Yes, that is called home charges. Thereafter, the component of drain was interest on loans. Yes, any form of interest which was paid out of Indian revenue, or loans which were taken abroad by the British, or most of the loans which were taken by the British abroad were paid through Indian revenue, and therefore this is also a channel of drain. However, the drain theory said the other way around, which is the drain theory suggested that the wealth drain from India had it had a significant impact on the economic development of Britain. So this is an incorrect statement, and therefore the answer becomes only 2B. Now with this, let's move to question number 42. Regarding the role of the European trading companies, which of the following statements are correct? UPSC is asking one question from advent of Europeans. They have not asked a question out of the concept of the Dutch, and therefore let's take a Dutch question. In 1605, the Dutch captured the Portuguese fort of Aboyna. In 1606, the Dutch obtained a farman from the ruler of Golconda to set up their factory at Mauchlypatnam. The English had opened a factory at Surat in 1625. Which of the statements are correct? You're going with B. Okay, we'll end the poll here, and most of you are correct. Only two, which is the first two, are correct, which is Dutch captured fort of Aboyna in 1605, and 1606 they were able to establish themselves at Mauchlypatnam. But here the English did not establish themselves in Surat in 1625, they established themselves in 1613. So you have to remember all the farmans and the initial expansion: 1613, 1615, 1632, 1639, 1651, 1668 and 1717. So you have the Surat. Thereafter you have both are called Jahangir Farmans. Farman means an order coming from the Mughals. Jahangir Farman, this gives you access to Surat, this gives you access to Agra, Broch, Ahmedabad and parts and Mauchlypatnam and parts of Bengal also. This is called the what is called as Golden Farman of the Golconda ruler. This is called Chandragiri concession through which they got Madras. This is the Shasuja Farman, and thereafter 1668 is when the East India Company got Bombay via the crown itself. 1661-62 there was a transfer under the dowry, and 1717 the Magna Carta of the British in India is the concept of Farrukhsiyar Farman, which basically sold off India to the British. So 1613, 1615, 32, 39, 51, 68, 1717. These are called the initial concessions which allowed the British to establish their foothold in India. 13, 15 Jahangir, thereafter 32 Golden Farman, 39 Chandragiri Farman, 51 and Shasuja. 1668, if you want to expand, there is another episode 1689, 1690, which is the concept of Aurangzeb capturing all the territories and then returning it back in 1690. So these are the initial concessions which are associated with the British. Okay. Can I move to the next question? 43. Last 7. Okay. Which of the following statements are correct? Almeida succeeded Albuquerque as the Portuguese governor in India and was crucial in establishing British dominance in the East. The Portuguese introduced a permit system for ships and controlled major ship centers in the region. Goa was acquired by Albuquerque from the Sultan of Malabar in 1510. Which of the statements is are correct? There will be one more question out of chronological question out of advent of Europeans. Okay. B, only 2. We'll end the chat poll now. We have 57% of you with 2, 22% here, but here actually only one statement is correct. Which is that statement? Anybody can tell me that? Yes, Vaishali. This is Bijapur. Sultan of Bijapur gave 1510 Goa, and these two are interchanged. Albuquerque comes after Almeida. Yes, the Portuguese had the Cartas system under the Blue Waters policy, which was used to control the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean. So, only one statement is correct. The third and the first statement are incorrect. Fairly easy question if you have basic understanding of advent of Europeans. Okay. Last question out of this sector. Arrange the following in the correct chronological order. Dutch captured Pondicherry, Battle of Bidara, Treaty of Ryswick, Aboyana captured by the Dutch from the Portuguese, Dutch establishing their factory at Kochi. Come on. We have 58%, 55%, 52%. As I say it is going down. Yeah, if you know the 42nd question, you can automatically understand the 44th. Okay, we'll give it another 5 seconds and then we'll end. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we have 47% here and this is the correct option. So, the catch was that if you know that Battle of Bidara or Battle of what is called as Chinsura was a battle against the British and the English, in which basically Mir Jafar called in the Dutch to remove the British from Bengal, you would automatically get the answer. The other one is that the first is the establishment of the Aboyana capturing by the Portuguese fort of Aboyana being captured by the Dutch, D. Then thereafter you will get Kochi by 1668, and thereafter A, which is they will capture Pondicherry from the French. Thereafter through the Treaty of Ryswick the Dutch will give back Pondicherry to the French, and last but not the least is the Battle of Bidara, which is I have all the dates here. Battle of Bidara is 1759, capturing of Pondicherry is 1693, Ryswick 1697, the Kochi sector comes in 1663, and Aboyana was 1605 as you saw previously. So, the Treaty of Ryswick does not happen in India, but happens in Europe, and this was basically to restore the French territory of Pondicherry back. There was a battle which was fought there through which it was restored back. So, again this is a fairly easy question if you have a basic idea of this. Okay. Now, question number 45. Out of constitutional history, you always get a question out of constitutional history. Which among the following statements are correct with respect to Charter Act of 1793? The company was to pay 5 lakh pounds annually to the British government. Senior officers of the company were debarred from leaving India without permission. The British government gave licenses to individuals as well as the company's employees to trade in India. The revenue administration was separated from judicial functions, and this led to disappearing of the Mal Adalats. The royal approval was mandated for the appointment of the Governor General, the governors and the Commander in Chief. Which of the statements are correct? All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 statements, or only 3, only 2, only 1? Subject from tomorrow is economics. There should be one more option here, which is, one second, there are 5 statements, right? So, this should be, because only one statement is incorrect, this one. So, it should be only 4. This is a mistake on my part. 4 statements are correct. So, C is the answer. We will end the poll here. You were able to get it, but only one statement is incorrect. So, when I was making this question, I should have only put only 4. So, here C, company had to pay 5 lakh pounds, correct. Senior officers were debarred to leave India, correct. Malradas abolished, yes. Approval needed, yes. The only one which is incorrect is, can anybody tell me why C is incorrect? Most of you got this correct. It should not be only 3 but only 4. Why is C incorrect? Yeah, Minerva, that is also true. That way it is true. Yes, very good. It is not the British government, but the East India Company. The East India Company, because it is still referring to the Charter Act of 1793. It should be East India Company, which basically used to give what are called as country traders as licenses. This was used for the opium trade with China. Opium trade. 4 statements are correct. This was a typo. It should have been only 4. So, happens sometimes. Okay. Let's move to the last 4. Consider the following statements regarding civil disobedience movement in India. K. Kalappan led a march in the Malabar region from Calicut to Payanur. Gopal Bandhu Chaudhary spearheaded a successful salt satyagraha in the coastal regions of Andhra. Chandraprabha Saikaini instigated the Kachchhi village to defy forest laws in Assam. Which of the statements are correct? Okay. Only 2, only 1, all none. These are very standard names. Pratibha, these are very standard names of the civil disobedience movement. Very standard names. Okay, we will end the poll here. We have 50% of you, actually 49% of you totally correct. K. Kalappan led the march in Malabar region, correct. Chandraprabha in Assam against the forest laws. This should not be Andhra but Orissa. It is in the Orissa sector that Gopal Bandhu Chaudhary. These are very standard names, very standard names. The Odisha today but Orissa province of the British, very standard names. So, please be very clear, these are very standard names of the civil disobedience movement. Okay, let us move to question number 47. Tirangi Barfi of dash, a tricolored sweet that was sold to prove a point by freedom fighters during the Quit India movement, received the GI tag. From which city does the Tirangi Barfi come from? Come on, this was in the news. Okay, more or less you are right, but still the percentage is down. But yes, we'll end the poll here. It is Kashi, Varanasi, Banaras, Tiranga Barfi, which was for the first time conceptualized as a half of the Quit India movement. The flag was a very important way of defying the British authority, and therefore this is an easy statement but coming out of current affairs itself. Okay. Question number 48. Here I will not read it out, but I want you to read it and tell me which personality is this. This is from the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Tirangi, Tiranga, same. You read this and you tell me. This is a personality based question, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. You have to tell me out of Nandini Devi, Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, Kanaklal Barua and Sivagami Ammayar, which is this story telling us about? Or ironically, if you'll read the statement, I've just realized the answer is already there in the statement. We'll end the poll here. Still, you are not reading it properly. यही लिखा हुआ है. This was going to be total, as it is, it was going to be a tukka or a basic guess. But when I was reading it right now, I realized I picked it up exactly from Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. But then I edited where she, I made it twice, but here I was not able to see it. But still it is difficult. This is for you to understand. And yes, you can miss this in the exam pressure, but I hope that you don't do that at that point of time. So I expected that to be 100%, but somehow 48th question, at the end of the day, we were still not in the percentage of good. This is a bonus question for you in that regard, but this is to basically teach you something. You would either know it or you would not know it. This was basically to teach you something, which is Sivagami Ammayar. Remember, she has been linked to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and that way she becomes very important. Very, very important. And it says Netaji was inspired by her, and ideas of conception of nationalism came out of her in that sense. So please do remember, it is D. Easy question for you. I was still reading the paragraph. I realized it because I was also reading it with you. Okay. Question number 49. This is again economic history. From among the following statements regarding the economic critique of colonialism, which ones are correct? The British administrators attributed the rapid construction of railroads and the growth of India's foreign trade as proof of India's prosperity. For nationalists, a negative impact on indigenous industries, foreign trade, railways represented India's underdevelopment of the economy. The nationalists emphasized that while expenditure served the British imperial needs, it also brought consequent prosperity to the Indian people. Not until 1905 did the drain theory become a part of the Indian National Congress agenda. Okay. Amit, sometimes UPSC also does that. Sometimes, a lot of times you will get the answer of a question from a different question itself. Okay. Which of the statements are correct? B, only 2. People are going with that. 1 and 4 is incorrect. Okay, which are the 2 which are incorrect? 1 and 2. We can end the poll here. We have 53% with B, but I am more concerned which are the 2 which are incorrect. Therein lies the idea. C, D. 1 is wrong. C is wrong. Okay. 3, 4. 1, 3. 1, 3. Okay. See, the people who are saying C, D are actually correct. 1 is a correct statement. Read it properly. What does it say? It says, the British administrators attributed the rapid construction of, it is the justification which they gave was that the British said that the idea that India is becoming prosperous comes from the railroads and the growth of foreign trade. This is the British justification. So it is totally correct. And we said no, these are basically counter arguments to the same, which is the first one is the British justification and the second one is us saying no, it is not that you are saying that there is industries and trade but India is becoming underdeveloped. This is incorrect because never did the nationalists say that everything is fine but India did become prosperous. These two statements are contradictory to each other and therefore this becomes incorrect. And over and above that, this is incorrect. The drain theory was the basis of the early moderate politics itself from the inception of the INC since 1885. This was already there. So here it is not A and D, it is C and D, which is incorrect. Now coming to the last question, I hope that this journey has been worthwhile and we have gone through ups and downs where the answer was given in the question also, and the fact of the matter is this one would be, I found a question which you will find it difficult if you have not been introduced to it previously. With reference to history of modern India, the Chatfield Committee was associated with modernization and streamlining Indian defence, British policy towards princely states, reforming civil services, regulating rupee sterling exchange ratio. Okay. If you have already been part of phase 1, you would have an idea about this. If you don't have any idea, you would not know this answer itself. Okay. Right. So here the answer is A for the students who are putting in a lot of guesses. The Chatfield Committee was basically based on the fiscal crisis which was created within the Indian defence or Indian defence mechanism itself, and modernization and streamlining the defence money was something which the Chatfield Committee was created for. I can tell you one thing, you can learn as many committees as you want, there will always be one committee which you will never remember or you will not know because there is a whole plethora, 50 plus committees are there. The main ones you should remember generally. Now before I end this session, firstly I would like to thank you for being here till 10 o'clock, which is close to 3 hours with me. We have done 50 questions, I will count it 49, but the percentage was actually not good for that question also, so I can go back to 50. But the idea is I have discussed ancient, medieval, art and culture, modern India with you, and more than that I have tried to check 4 techniques with you. Elimination, which is more or less a dying idea itself. Over and above that, only 1, only 2, only 3. Streamlining means to make it properly what we call as systematized. So that is the concept, that where I have checked only 1, only 2, only 3, only 4. I am sorry for the typo, only 4 should have been there. Thereafter, the second thing which I asked you or wanted to check was, are you up to date? I told you friends that streamlining means systematization. Listen. So the idea was to basically check that are you able to apply yourself with regards to this. I have done close to 40-45 art and culture questions with regards to current affairs. I hope you will use that. Now for the students who are asking for a certain timeline, I will be happy to share a basic timeline which you can use for the examination. A lot of you were saying that we need a basic timeline. I will share the basic dates with you also. I will not write everything down, but I will at least write the dates in that sense. So very simply, when we talk about ancient India, this is me trying to revise everything with you, and it should be a befitting end to everything which we have done. See, if you want exact dates, that is one thing, but I will give you basic dates. So you have 2 million BCE to 10,000, 10,000 BCE to 4,000, 4,000 to 2,600. This is called Paleolithic, this is called Mesolithic, this is called Neolithic. Thereafter, these are again very standard what we call as basic dates I am giving. I am not going into the exact chronological order in that regard. Thereafter, we have going to 2,600 into we'll go by 1700 here, which is Indus Valley Civilization. This is also the period of the Chalcolithic phase, Chalcolithic, within which we already see Vedic, what we call as IVC, Indus Valley Civilization, as a Bronze Age. Then 1700 to 1500, we call it the dark phase, where we don't really know what really happened for these 200 years, for which Vadnagar is a very important edition. Then 1500 to 1000, 1000 to 500, this is called early Vedic, this is called later Vedic. Then we go into 500 to 324, which is Mauryas, no, not Mauryas, Mahajanpadas, then 324 to 184, which is Mauryas, and parallelly from this point forward till here we have the megalithic in South India, megalithic, and here we have Sangam era or Sangam age, which basically will go on till close to 300 CE. BCE means before Common Era or before Christ. It's a concept of how we divide in Gregorian concept itself. Thereafter 184 to 30 CE is the what we call as post Mauryas, and to be very precise here, in post Mauryas 184 is Shunga, 165 is the Indo-Greeks, 150 is the Shakas, thereafter 30 CE is the Kushanas, and between 30 CE to 300 CE we have what is called as the Kushana and Sattavahana phase. Thereafter, okay, one second, this moved. Then thereafter we move from 300 to 600, which is Gupta and Vakataka, and last but not the least is 600 to 750, which is called post Gupta. In post Gupta you basically put Chalukyas, Pallavas and Harshvardhan here. This is basically your story of ancient India. Thereafter, if we go into medieval is a much smaller story, it will go from 750 to 99, let's not keep it 998, let's keep it till 1030, then 1030 to 1192, then 1206 to 1414, 1414 to 1450. Sorry, this is getting touched because of the pen itself. Or we have to find in between this also 1336, 1347, 1450 to 1526, 1526 to 1707, and thereafter 1707. This becomes early modern. I hope this is not going behind me. Sorry. And thereafter 1757. So this is overheating, that is why. So 750 to 1030 is called early medieval part 1, if you want to call it. Here you have basically the period of Ghazni and the Rajputs, specifically Hindu Shahi, the Ghadwalas, the Tomars, the Chauhans fall under this category itself. And thereafter 1030 is phase 2, in which you have the Gori phase. After Mahmud of Ghazni is dead in 1030, you have this, and here you have Battle of Terrain, which is first and second Battle of Terrain, and thereafter it will end with the second Battle of Terrain, and in 1206 we will have the formation of Delhi Sultanate. Now a lot of books, a lot of people put Sayyids, Lodhis under Delhi Sultanate, but if you go into academic understanding, if you actually go into academic understanding, Sayyids, because Khiz Khan was not part of the Delhi Sultanate but actually nominated by Timur, therefore mostly in academic circles we don't push it into Delhi Sultanate. So I always keep in between this, we have Vijayanagara here and we have Bahamani, and last here we have 1414 to 1450 is basically the period of Sayyids. 1414 to 1450 is Sayyids, then this is Lodhis, and this is Mughals, and this is called 18th century and the rise of regional kingdoms. So this is basically the story of ancient medieval. Do you need it for example, modern also? Do you need modern? Modern, I'll give you basic dates, but I'll not be able to write it down. Can I give you basic dates? Do you want it? Does this make sense? Does this help? Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Very good. So let's talk about modern India. We have 1488, 1498, we have 1500, then we have 1503, 1505. I will not delve into the Portuguese too much. This is Diaz reaching the Cape of Good Hope. This is obviously Vasco da Gama reaching Calicut. 1500 is Cabral. 1503 is the first proper permanent factory being established at Kochi. 1505 is Cannanore. So this is Kochi, this is Cannanore. And thereafter I'll go last, I'll put 1510, 1535, which is not even 1535, 29 and 1535. 1510 is basically how you get Goa, which is Bijapur, Adil Shah, we discussed that, and 1529 is the shift of capital, and 1535 is Daman and Diu, specifically Diu getting captured by the Portuguese. I don't want to go into this one too much because UPSC has already asked a lot of questions from this area. I'll go back to the British first. So British becomes 1613, 1615, 1632, 1639, 1651, 1661, 1668, 1651 we've done, 1668, 1689, 1690 and thereafter 1717. So this is nothing but the Surat Jahangir Farman. This is Jahangir Farman second, which is the Agra, Broch, Mauchlypatnam and Ahmedabad. This is the Golden Farman itself. Cannanore is the old name, now it is different. 1539 is Chandragiri concession, Madras. 1651 is Shah Shuja Farman. For just paying 3000 rupees they could trade for free in Bengal. 1661 is the marriage of Catherine Braganza with Charles II. Then 1668 is the dowry which was received here to be transferred to the East India Company for 10 pounds. Then 1689 is Aurangzeb taking all the territory because of a conflict. 1690 he gave back when the British gave 1.5 lakhs. And 1717 which is Farrukhsiyar Farman, the Magna Carta which gave Surat, Bombay, Madras minting powers, dastak power to the British. Then starts the more easier one, which is we are still in Company Raj, which is basically 1773, 1784, 1793. You know these: 1813, 1833, 1853, 1857. In between this you have the permanent Rayatwari Mahalwari, commercialization, deindustrialization, socialist reform movement. All of this comes under this only, but this sector we don't open too much. This is Regulating Act, this is Pitt's India Act, all of these are Charter Acts, 93, 1813, 33, 53. With this India is gone, with this India and China both are gone, and this is 1857. Magna Carta is the unwritten constitution of the British. It is a way of expressing that you have basically the concept of a certain important policy which becomes like the constitution in India itself. So till this point I hope everybody is okay, because the real dates start to open from 1857 onwards. Is everybody here? No issues? Still alive? Okay. Okay. Now let me find a page. Now let me go into the real dates. 1858, 1861, 1885, 1892, then 1903, 1905, 1906, 1907, 1909, then we can go to 1912, 1914, 1915, then 1915. So this is Government of India Act 1858. Now from this point we get viceroys. This is Indian Council Act, formation of the INC, Indian Council Act, second one. Then you have 1903, the Partition of Bengal being announced itself. This is Swadeshi movement and the Partition of Bengal. 1906, 1907 important, which is the Banaras session, the Calcutta session and the Surat session, and therefore the Surat split itself. Thereafter we have 1909 Morley-Minto reform itself. Then we have the 1912 Harding bombing. 1914 First World War will begin. 1915 Gandhi comes back after going through his moderate phase from in South Africa itself. Thereafter till 1915 we are sorted. 1915-16 Home Rule League had already started to come into existence. Home Rule League will come from 1916 properly. Then comes 1917, 1918, 1919, 1920, 1922, 1923, 1924, 1925, 1927 and thereafter. So 1917 is nothing but you have Champaran, 1918 is Kheda and Ahmedabad, 1919 is Montague Chelmsford reforms, thereafter 1920 non-cooperation, 1919 also Rowlatt Satyagraha, Jallianwala Bagh, 1920 Khilafat and non-cooperation, 1922 we discussed it, which is nothing but the most important, the Chauri Chaura incident, which is having the anniversary. 1923 Swarajist no changes, 1924 you have Swarajist no changes and Gandhi coming into the politics back and the very good performance of the Swarajists. 1925 they become responsivist, non-responsivist and they go out of the picture itself. 1927 Simon Commission. Thereafter 1928 Nehru Report, 1929 Jinnah 14 points. From 1929 we also have three more things which are happening in 29. What is called as the concept of the October Declaration, the Deepavali Declaration or Irwin Declaration of Dominion Status and the Roundtable Conferences, then the Delhi Manifesto and the Purna Swaraj Resolution in 1929. Then 1930 we have CDM, 11 point ultimatum, Civil Disobedience Movement and now the Roundtable Conference context has been created. So the first Roundtable Conference will happen here. 1931 is the CDM. First phase Dandi March started in 30, 31 Gandhi Irwin Pact, second Roundtable Conference Gandhi goes to London and comes the minority clause or the minority pact against Gandhi, discrediting of the INC itself. Irwin is gone, Wellington comes to India. 1932 he will launch his second phase of CDM, will not be successful, but is the year of the McDonnell Award, which in turn means the year of the Pune Pact itself, and the third Roundtable Conference will also happen. 1932 on 33 is the suspension of CDM, 1934 is the withdrawal of CDM phase 2, Gandhi goes into Harijan campaign itself. Then 1935 Government of India Act, everybody knows about this. 1936 elections, 1938 and 1939 is Gandhi and Bose conflict, the Haripura and the Tripuri session, and thereafter 1939 Second World War will start, and thereafter 1940 August offer, then 41 individual Satyagraha Atlantic Charter, 42 Quit India Cripps mission, 43, 44, 45 is all related to INA, from INA's formation from the 41 period itself, 42 Bangkok Conference, 43 Subhash Chandra Bose comes in, 44 Azad Hind Sarkar, 44, 45 is Imphal campaign. Thereafter 46 and 47 we have more than 5-6 events happening. We have 45, we have the INA trials also, Wavell conference also. 46 is RIN mutiny, not RIN, it's not a sabun, it is RIN mutiny. Thereafter we have the cabinet mission, then we have the interim government elections, then will come 47 the concept of a very important declaration, the Attlee Declaration, then Mountbatten will come, ISME plan, last but not the least the 3rd June plan, India Independence Act, July, 15th August 1947 India gets independence. This is the whole timeline for you. Done? If you think, how will I remember all of this? When you will come to class with me and the students who are with me in class, they will remember this automatically. So, for the past 15 minutes I have been giving you only timelines. So, I hope that this will generally help you. August offer is 1940. So, I hope that this will generally help you for the examination. I have done my part. All the best for the examination. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your patience, and I will see you surely in the class or in the UCAN sessions or in the CNA. But if I don't see you, please do make sure that you use this knowledge to clear this examination. I enjoyed the session. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.